Beth McConnell.
That's me. Okay. Hi, I'm Beth. I've been here since 2017, fairly new. And can I just say, just from observation of a lot of the commission meetings, it isn't, if y'all aren't for the employees or JIPSD, who is? I thought that y'all should back us up as far as employees and JIPSD and what we represent. I was told there was a poll last night about our hours up front. I couldn't get on the poll, and I've been in my house 20 years. I'm a James on PSD, services me, and I couldn't see anything. So obviously that isn't something that's fair, poll. And I don't know where all the negativity comes from. I mean, I want to be proud to work here, and I don't even want to tell anybody where I work. So that's crazy. I don't know where all of this comes from. I thought that y'all were here to support employees. I thought the reason we're on a 4-day work week was to save the taxpayer money. Because, I mean, isn't that how it all happened? I mean, we're obviously available, like a doctor being on call. I've gotten people, a doctor that I've been with for 20 years who can't say my name, and just redirecting it. So we service everybody. I had a person at church this past week said, I just moved to a new house. James Allen PSD doesn't service me, and the city comes whenever they want. So I don't mind if I do either. For me, either play anywhere I go, it doesn't matter, but it just seems like it's a nice perk for the employees. It seems like it costs less, you're not running all the operations, and it seems like we can do a great job in 4 days. And, you know, to open up a place for 3 people, or, you know, when we're not even getting any comments, or we don't even get a chance to respond to the next, you know, somebody that has a problem, that doesn't seem fair at all. That's
Nathan Johnson.
Good evening. As you know, I'm always like to speak my mind about what goes on here. Started 40 years on the 7th of October. Here.
Congratulations.
About 40 years. And then all the years that I've started here, I've never seen, I've seen the commission as a whole as in great odds with each other when they have the meeting here, with each other. And as a taxpayer as well, it didn't sit well with me, but they were in charge. They were our example for the public, and it wasn't a good example. They've tried this time change things before. Sanitation, they always work 4 days. They were often in the middle of them. They pick up trash Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So, being that they did that, I think someone had the idea about having everybody doing the same thing, shutting down the whole day, saving electricity, people, and all the stuff that comes within a day. This place has grown and changed so much technically to where now, with every company and a lot of companies, they're closed on Friday. This is, if you haven't watched the news or pay attention, this is a trend that's going on around the world. Even my own dentist don't open on Friday. If I have a toothache, go to the emergency room, or call the person on call and they'll tell me what to take, or go to the drugstore and pick up what they order. Because it saves a lot of resources. It saves a whole lot. And from what I've seen here, it seems as though there's this thing about wanting to take control of the PSD from what I've seen and heard from the town of James Island. I have even on my phone, where the mayor comes here and interfere in our business. He interferes in our business, which he shouldn't. You know, there's nobody here from the commission that's going to interfere in their business. I mean, they are completely out of order, because there are a lot of things that people do today are very offensive, and it's not been a good thing that should be going on here today. We talk about team spirit. That's not going on with the commission at all, because I see so much disrespect between each of you. I mean, it's just not right. You know, we all talk about God and living right and doing this. Our action tells everybody about just who we are. Actions and words tells everyone who we are. And the people that work up front, trust me, they do an excellent job. You have no idea what these girls go through up front when people call them and saying things to them. You have no idea. But trying to change our working schedule, I think it's a total disregard for us as a whole. You don't want to hear us. You don't want to hear us from what I've seen and what I've experienced here. You don't want to hear us. It's what you want to do, 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 what you want to do. That's what you do. And then you want to do things like interfere in just the simple daily operation. That's not your job. That is not your job to do. You're here to go over those things that are huge, those things that are big, not little small, big stuff like that. You're pretty much out of line when you do that. But you're the people who are in charge. I've been here, like I said, 40 years. And I've seen and heard some things from people that live in this district about this commission for many years. And many people are just embarrassed. They won't even come. And I asked them why they come. They said, I'm not going there to watch no circus about people that we elect to be in charge and they're acting the way they're acting. So, if you want to change that, I can tell you right now, you will kill the morale. You're not going to get good people here. And we always talk about teamwork. We talk about that all the time. You're not being fair. You're not being a team player.
Yeah, I think your time's up.
You have a clock for your time to
So
meet?
watch it on the wall.
Okay.
Is this a meeting?
Can I add something real quick, and I'm gonna read you something? Thank
Public comment.
you. You won't need a sign in?
Yes, okay.
One thing I would like to ask all commissioners, I've seen it, I've done it myself. When a citizen of James Island writes us, our response should be, thank you for your email, I will check on this and get back to you. Not agree with what they're saying, because we had two in the last week. I was talking to Bill Sharp at lunch today, and we were laughing at the lady that wrote, when are they gonna pick my debris up? The copperheads are attacking the children and the dogs. And you know, it had been on the news, so we had to have anyone bitten by a copperhead. She said, copperheads attacking the children and the dogs. The other one I love, the other day, he said, they pick my debris up and then they dump something else in its place. Do we really think Walter would send a truck down, pick up their debris and say, we're gonna come back, we're gonna dump this pile here? But I think when somebody sends us emails, we should say, thank you for your email, I will check into it and get back with you. Like, I'm just as anybody agreeing, I think with what's going on now with the sewer, everything, we should have a cutoff day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Because if you cut off on Wednesday, you stand a chance of getting it turned back on Thursday. Thursday, rare that you get. So I think just change that one little thing and say, but once again, because my husband said it all the way here, trust me, I live with this every night while I'm going to sleep. If people can't pay their bills, they need to come here to Chief Sebo or whomever and say, look, I need you to work with me. And you know, that I can't pay all this now. I was just looking at this man, he was on a $400-something payment a month. Well, I chose, because when I had a house payment, it was like $400 a month. But I think we ought to go that route and send these problems over to Chief Seabolt. Because I will say one thing about him in the last 2 weeks. Anytime you talk to him, you say, how's things going? How are employees working with you? And he's thrilled.
It's not a meeting.
He's 100% satisfied. When I talk with they're working with me. They bring their problems to me. And I think we need to do that. I'm not saying as commissioners, we just gotta forfeit what we do. But I think we should refer to Chief Seabolt and let him get with David Hoffman, Walter Desmond, because I really don't like women, right,
We don't
that makes
want
us look
payment
bad
plans
as
by
women.
bonds.
The copperheads are attacking the children and the dogs.
Again, so, but yes, so, two women contacted me last week, in the morning, and they have my text, and they also sent me Facebook messages, which I'm not always able to see, because I get so many that are not always related to, this kind of work. But, and they also sent me an email, apparently, like after that, but they were saying that there were copperheads, and there were all these issues, protecting the children, but it really led to a different issue on their street that doesn't actually, the fire department would be reporting it, like, if you call 911, then sometimes, fire trucks will respond to mine first, even though it's an ambulance that I actually need. Excuse me. With those women, the copperheads are very common this time of year, and it was really them trying to lead to what the bigger issue was. And thank goodness, again, Chief Seabolt, I so appreciated as they did, everything, your response. So I sent him and Desmond an email telling them what was told to me, what was being texted to me, very, very angrily and upset, understandably. But, and they, within the hour, went over, spent a good bit of time, and the women were very, very happy with how things were playing.
Well, I think that's what, let him do his job.
Exactly.
But I simply say, it makes us as women look bad when we say they're attacking the children and the dogs. It's like Bill Sharp said, no one contacted us about it.
Your time is up.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have another speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who is that?
David Hoffman.
Okay, I was just gonna call you up anyway.
You're getting tired.
Okay, well, I can stay up
I'm
here.
trying to know one.
To be done. I think we got off on the wrong foot. I think my frustration was showing. I apologize for that. But there are so many things that we could have rectified and taken care of if we had sat down and talked. And door is always open to any commissioner that wants to go on a tour, that wants to have questions answered about how we do our business and why we do it that way. I've been here over 10 years. I've been in this business over 23 years. So I think I am capable of answering any question that's presented to me and answer it in a way that you'll understand and help you understand. Because that's what we need to do. We need to work together. We don't need to be attacking each other on next neighbor, next door, or sending things out and asking people questions when it's not necessary. And the perception that we have is that you're attacking us. And we don't want that perception. We don't want to have that working relationship. We have to support each other. You have to have our backs, and we have to have your back. If you're not going to do that, then it's very difficult for us to do our jobs and feel good about our jobs.
Okay. Thank you for those comments. I want to know exactly what is the cutoff day? What is the policy? I've looked through all of this and there's no hard number. Okay, after 45 days, somebody said that on Nextdoor. I don't know where they got that from. But I want to know what is the exact procedure. Because people ask me, when did I call the sewer? How late can you be? And I'm going, I have no clue. I've read the thing and
You get 2 months.
Okay.
Now you get 2 months.
where is it written down here that you get 2 months?
It's 45 days. 45 days is more than 2 months, actually.
2 bills, right, 2 bills.
You get 2 billing cycles.
30, that's 60 last time I came.
I'm sorry.
But
But you don't get
it
two
doesn't
weekends.
say that. Where do we have these things written?
There's no details of what's written down. It's, the ordinance is very plain, but the ordinance also says that we don't do payment plans.
Yeah, I read that.
and our bonds and covenants will not allow payment plans. If we do payment plans for one customer who owes us $3,000 in the gaming system, we do it for all 7,000 residents that owes money. And so that's something the commission's gonna be willing to do. We've got over $500,000 in receivables sitting out there that customers aren't paying. It was out there by my predecessor, just
You
sitting there.
haven't really asked my question. Okay, I haven't paid my bill. When are you gonna come and turn on?
I'm gonna send you a notice saying that you didn't pay your first month's bill, and now here's your second month's bill. You now have an additional 15 to 18 days roughly to pay your bill.
But I
When you
see
don't
this
pay it at that
written
point,
down.
we send a disconnect list back to the wastewater, and they begin to shut that system off. It could take you
A couple of
weeks. It's usually, the average is 75 per month.
You send me a second bill 30 days later and say you don't pay by this date.
Usually the 15th, 20th somewhere. It's different depending on the work week.
But I just don't see this
Right,
written down.
that's not, that's the
Okay.
internal policy, that's not the ordinance that you're
I
looking at.
want to know the internal policy. Because people ask me, when are they shut off? I'm going, I looked through the website, I looked everything, yes, Alan.
Actually, it is in the ordinance, section 4.4 under billing. Paragraph A, all customers shall be billed monthly and payment is due in the office on or before 5 p.m. by the date shown on the statement.
Does that mean they come the
No.
next day and shut off your bill? What does that mean?
Let me finish. Accounts not paid by this date will be subject to a late fee charge, non-payment of service fee, possible interruption of service, and reconnection fee.
Possible interruption of service.
Yes.
So if you're a friend of ours, we might not cut you off, but somebody we don't like.
That doesn't happen.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
That doesn't make
I'll go there.
I want it written down exactly what we do.
May I finish what I'm
Yes.
saying?
I read all that, Alan, and that's why I don't understand.
Well-
What is the policy exactly?
I have to ask every question in the process. We're not on a 30-day. We're on a,
The last business day of the month is when the bills due.
right, so if that shows up on my bill and it says I'm supposed to pay by September 30th, and I don't pay by September 30th, according to what I just read, that means that my name is now on the hit list.
No.
To receive a notice from you that I haven't paid and that I now have yada, yada, yada. And then when the second bill comes out, and when the October bill comes out, if I still haven't paid, that's when I get the notice
It'll tell you on,
that says that, if I don't do this by such and such date, then I will be subject to disconnect. Is that correct?
the first bill will come to us due, let's say September 1st, it's saying it's due September 30th. The next bill comes out the first week of October, and you've got till the 15th or so to pay. You don't pay, that's your 45 days that you haven't paid. We gotta remember, this sewer that we're billing for October happened June and July. We've already paid for that treatment 3 months ago. This is not current sewer. So they're really not 45 days in arrears, they're 90 days in arrears by us paying that treatment cost up front.
Well,
And so you get a notice saying you need to pay by the 15th. If you don't pay by the 15th, you're gonna be on the disconnect list, and there's a $50 fee. If they don't pay by the 15th, they get that list, and David starts the shut-off
So-
procedure.
if by your second bill, you get a notice, say you have to the middle of the month.
Pay the past due balance, right?
And, okay, so I see where that 45 days comes, but see, I just don't see this written down. Nobody has sent this in writing to me. Can you write this down, pass it by legal or anybody else, and let's get, and have this on our website or our Facebook page? Because people ask me
And
this
I
all the time.
believe,
and
is
I
it on the
don't
back
know.
of our bill? I think it's on the back of our bill. I don't have one with me, but it's printed on the back of our bill.
Okay, so, and I would like to say, so I have friends who, they were going through a divorce, and they had split their bills, and the wife who had left, and there was some unexpected stuff. So the friend, the husband, he approached me, knowing that I would know some about this stuff, possibly, working with the public services. And he had this exact notice, because his wife had not been paying the bills that she said she had, divorces happen. So, anyway, and it does state it,
It's in
all
red.
of the.
It's in red too.
Pardon?
It's
Yes,
in red,
exactly, and I got to
bold,
see it,
right?
not because of,
Right.
firsthand, but yes, my friend who was, and he luckily was able to make the payments. He was just like, why is this happening, is this real? you know, I was like, well, you need to find out if this was actually being paid since your bills are split. So it is detailed in what you receive in writing from them. It's just possibly if we could have that on the website, I think that'd be better than just having it on social media. But if that could be like, you know, maybe some sort of statement that
This is not the
includes what
first,
you get.
first time I've looked for this information
But
on
I
our
mean, you are
website
sent
and
it,
in
is
our
what I'm
rules,
saying.
and I'm like,
So if they're
it's not
responsible.
clear. I want something concrete, you know, to say when this is due. So when people say, I say, well, if you didn't pay it by 45 days, you're gonna get a little red note on your door. And be that way, but, and I guess I never looked at the back of the bill. And I feel like we just need to have this written and explained and put out there and let people know.
So not just the people at fault, that's exactly what I was
And
saying.
quite honestly, when I first saw that thing from our latest person that complained, I went like, $2,000, how did that happen? I mean, why didn't we shut him off 2 or 3 years ago? And I understand it was a duplex.
It's a duplex with 2 people in there, and when we have a duplex, we can't shut one off if he's, the other one is paying, and that person moved out, and so that left us an option to shut him off.
Okay, I see that. Do we have a lot of this situation?
Not very many, no.
Because, I know your neighborhood's full of duplexes.
We have a list that we'll be glad to get to you, of those
Well, I'm just saying,
properties that
was
we
this
can't
an
disconnect.
unusual situation? It seems like you don't have too many people owing us $2,000.
We have a lot, we have $500,000 out there owed to us,
Oh, gosh.
$500,000, right?
Is it a business or a person?
It's numerous people,
Oh, what? I mean,
multiple
yeah.
people, right?
Okay. But this was probably an unusually high one?
I don't think so.
You got people that owe us.
We've probably got people who owe us $10,000, $12,000 that just never pay. They just don't do it. We send them the debt set off, and if they don't file a state tax return, we never get that money. We don't use collections agencies.
I was gonna ask you, do you use the
Sandra
state-
makes calls to them.
I mean, do you get, people, payments from the state income tax?
We do, we file those people with the state debt set-off program, but unless they file the state tax, if they move out of the state, there's no way for us to get that money. That's filed in South Carolina every time.
And you don't want to use a collection agency because you don't.
Thank you so much.
Sean probably didn't, I don't know if it says that in our ordinance, or not. I'm not sure, I don't think it does. I'll look that up.
Well, the feeling is, I hate using the collection agency, but if we got half, it's better than nothing. And I'll tell you, I've been a commissioner for years, this is the first time I've found we have all this money that people haven't paid us. Nobody's told me this.
That was my first goal, when I took over, looked
You
at the
know,
yard,
we sit here,
said we
give
just
us a
cut that in
report.
half.
Robert never told us, everybody got up and said, and so how much was it you said?
It's $500,000.
$500,000.
I get you the exact figure. Shoot it to y'all or whatever. Right. It usually fluctuates around 425, $525 a month.
And, another thing I was thinking about, last year, there was some talk of us working with, Charleston Water Systems about the billing. And, my understanding, one of the advantages of that, if somebody didn't pay their sewer bill, they would cut off their water bill. Was there any attempt to work with Charleston Water on this? Did they have 2 separate billing things?
I approached, CNS, several years ago about cutting off the water instead of flooding the sewer. They wanted to do the billing then. The current commissioners did not want that to happen. I have come up with a plan to offer them to pay them our disconnection fee of $50 per disconnect to do that for us without them doing the billing. And we're in the process of talking about that now to get them to do that.
Because this situation with this duplex, there were 2 water lines, wasn't there? We could have easily just turned off this water.
Yes.
If we had some kind of deal with, Charleston Water, which would have been much more safe. And I'll send you a copy, but the town passed an ordinance that if the sewer was cut off, then they would request that Charleston Water turn off their water. And that might
Told me
be,
about that.
a way that we can force Charleston Water to help us, but I always think y'all seem to work well together.
Yeah, so I don't think we have to
Yeah.
force them to do anything,
Yeah.
we just have to come to an agreement.
But there is a town ordinance, that doesn't cover everybody, but, and it wouldn't cover this Plymouth Avenue issue at all. But that's something to, think about there. Also, I was wondering too, if some of these people hadn't paid, if they might have moved out of our district, maybe they went to Berkeley County Water, and they have an account there, and, you know, sometimes I know you can't find people that have gone out of town, is that the problem?
That's why you need a collection agency.
You just
And we
can't-
don't, they don't give us a forwarding address, but it's just people
Well,
walk.
A lot of times people just up and leave, they don't pay their electric bill, they don't pay their
Yeah.
water bill, they don't pay their rent, they just leave the house.
And we don't even require a deposit, do we?
No.
Is that something you would like to see? I know we
Have
don't get
to
too many
offset the cost.
we don't get too many new customers. How many new customers do we get?
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, renters are something that's in and out all the time,
would
so.
that be something if we required a $50 deposit?
Well, what I did at the last place that I worked at is that you do run a credit check on them, and they have good credit, then they don't pay a deposit.
Okay.
If they have bad credit, then you would charge them what a monthly bill would be.
Which is about
And there's a
$70.
fee to run the credit check, is there not?
So we'd have to, we'd have to come up with a good cost for that, for them to put down a deposit that would be refunded to them.
Well,
if they left.
our maximum bill, what is it, $80 now?
It's 100.
101.
101? So $100 deposit would be within,
Be reasonable.
I wouldn't say 101, it's such an odd number, but $100 would be a reasonable amount. Well, let's look at doing that, and let's get some, I would say, if that's what the staff feels like we need to do, let's write something up, run it through legal, and see if we can do something like that. And you say we do, I guess people are always moving in and out of James Island. But also, I would like to think, all right, we've got Mount Pleasant, Berkeley, North Charleston, and Charleston sewer districts. Maybe connecting with them and saying, look, if you have somebody skip town, send us a list, we'll check it with our people, and maybe we can find some of these people who just moved locally. See what I mean? It's kind of work with these other sewer districts, with these deadbeats. Maybe they've
Well,
got
that's why you have a collection agency, because that would be very, very time consuming.
I don't know, I imagine like, how many deadbeats a day do y'all get?
We usually have 70.
There's 75, yes, about 75 a month.
Right,
is average.
regular on the
A lot of them was it 51% were repeat offenders?
65% are repeat
65.
offenders
I'm
and
talking about the
51%
people that leave town.
same day.
How many people leave town with your bill? Is it
Varies.
5, 6 a month?
Again, but that is why collection agency varies. That's most
Right.
sensible, and, I mean, there's plenty of other things you all need to do.
Usually a collection agency take a percentage of what they
Yeah, they do.
collect, so.
Well, let's, look into a collection agency, what they get, what they do, what they promise. And, you know, it could be something we could just try for a while and see if we're recovering some of our money. Some people, when they get that call, they just pay it off. They'll call
Right.
you back up and pay you. The debt collectors call me, happens to me all the time, I'm like, and maybe I ought to pay this off before.
I think this was a year, I think maybe Sandra had called him, and that's how he got kicked out today, he hasn't been paying. We found out somebody wasn't living next door, and they went out and investigated, and that's why he got, at that point, shut off.
How long, when you shut it up, how long will it go normally before it starts backing up into the house?
Well, it depends how long the service is, it depends how much water they use. So usually within a day or two, you're gonna max out your sewer service.
And so that's why when somebody said don't shut off on Thursday, he could shut off on Wednesday. If you flush the toilet once a day, it may not back up till the next week, Christmas Day. It's not varying on when we shut it off, it's how much water they use.
Well, you do
Yeah.
put when you shut it off, you put a note on their door, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they know what's gonna happen. And, I've known some people that'll just disconnect their pipe, and let it flow on the ground. But
bad.
Well, they're in the town, they're building the codes on it.
Yeah,
Intercede
code
here.
violation here. Well, let's look into a debt collection. You know, if we're $500,000, if we recovered $250,000, we'd be better off than not collecting at all. That's the way I feel about it. Anybody else want to chime in there?
Well, that's James's, goal.
Was to cut that in half. I didn't
First
have
day we
time,
talked,
but
he told me, it's my
we
goal
will
to
lower
cut
that in
that.
half, however we do that,
Yeah.
make it manageable.
Let's find a cheaper collection service.
Sure, sure.
All right. How is the online payment service coming in? What percentage do we have on?
23% have signed up through invoice file to pay online.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they can't go there and pay one time every month. These are ones who are actually registered, 23%. Right.
Okay, 20%. What's your goals on that?
I would say.
Like 100%?
Yeah, I mean, I would say 100%, but 60 to 70 would be nice, sure, and it's been 2 months.
And then we have the auto draft though too,
Right.
where it's on that, how much
Auto
percentage
drive,
is that?
yeah, auto drive about $100,000 a month. So, what do you know, how many customers that is off the top of your head? I can't recall, but we can get you that information too.
Okay, all right.
And James, if you could go over the other option that we spoke about.
So the other option that, or, go ahead.
Barcode?
Right. Our bill has a barcode on it, and they may have to modify it, but typically that barcode would work, and they have a system, and you've seen those stickers on doors at 7-Eleven, Walmart, Rite Aid, CVS. It's called PayGo, one word, PayGo. They can take that bill, they can go into 7-Eleven, buy a Coke and a pack of cigarettes and scan their thing and pay their bill right there. And that money comes to us. There's a small fee, $1.99, I think, per transaction, but it is, they have to pay the cash. Those vendors don't want to deal with the balance checks or credit cards. They pay the cash, but they have a receipt, so if it's Saturday at noon and they buy a 12-pack of Coke and pay their bill, they can show that receipt, and people will come turn it on if they've been shut off.
Okay.
And they can start that as of January 1st.
Oh, okay, all right.
And that's 24/7, Walmart, we can pick the places, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, 7-Eleven.
And we would get information about that payment right away?
We get within 24 hours, like I said, 24 hours, they would
But
stop
they
that
would have a
payment.
receipt from Walmart?
Right, at that time, right.
And
They
that
would
would
have a
be-
receipt, but we would get the cash
And
within
that
24
receipt
hours.
would be good for our employees?
Right, turn the service back on.
Okay, all right.
They can do that now online, right?
Right, they can do it online now.
My, thing on the, 4-day-a-week thing is not just paying wastewater, but I do see people complaining and talking to me about calling the office on Fridays. And my idea was, y'all can still do a 4-day work week, but you could do shifts like a Monday through Thursday group and a Tuesday through Friday group. Or however y'all wanna do that. But just to have somebody to answer that phone, or some people there in the office on Friday, was something that was brought up last year during a campaign, people were in favor of it. And, you know, if y'all still wanna work 4 days a week, that's fine. I worked at a place that was open 7 days a week. I'm working at a place now that's open 6 days a week. We don't all work those days. And I would leave the scheduling to you all, however you wanna do it. But we really don't know what kind of calls or payments would come in on Friday, because you haven't been open for 9 years on Friday. And I really, tell you the truth, unless y'all are turning down the air conditioner or turning down the heat, what savings are we really saving?
That's not so much the financial impact. The financial impact from what you were saying and what was posted is, let's say Sandra works Monday to Thursday, 10-hour days, to get her 40 hours in. Joanne works Tuesday through Friday, 10-hour days. Now we're not only open 40 hours, our business is open 50 hours during the week.
Okay.
So we're talking about a huge financial impact of 10 more hours open than any business in government is open 40 hours a week.
So we're open 10 more hours, but how much is that costing us really?
I did not do any financial crunching, and I will,
I
but
mean, do y'all, I mean, tell me the truth, do y'all?
name another government that's open 50 hours a week.
I also must say, would that not require also then for there to be, you know, certain individuals are there, you know, so you have,
Security.
thank
sure.
you, goodness.
If we got Sandra there, no offense to her, but she takes the gas, we have to have a supervisor
Yeah,
there.
at
And
all
in that
times.
building, there's 4 supervisors, Chris, myself, Lisa, and Joanne.
So it'd be like when our
It's
meetings
fine, we
go
work
on
on
and on,
Friday,
we
but you have to have a second
calls.
supervisor there. If one person's on the phone and the phone's ringing that bad, I mean, 2 people aren't gonna be able to cover it. Everybody in that building's not
You have 9
cross.
people in the office, right?
There's 11 up there, but everybody's not cross-trained to run that front office.
And if people are only available on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, while, you know, I mean, my schedule, and a lot of people I know, their schedule is very different, you know, it's, oh, I have lunch at 3 AM, not personally, but, you know, people I know. You know, it depends, but I just don't see why that would be so necessary, that Friday's the only day, you know, that there wouldn't be some time that they could take a very short break, since you all are open a good portion of the day.
We're open.
Options
What,
to pay.
what if you can't pay Friday, you wanna be open Saturday now? I mean, for a handful of people.
Yeah.
The average per people walking in is 15 to 22, depending on the day. So we're talking about 17, 18 people. I mean, is that return on investment to have that building open? We've also gotta have somebody from Wastewater come and open the gate and close the gate. I don't expect one of the ladies to open and close that big metal gate out there.
And we have to leave it open all day, which leaves our compound
Facility,
here
right?
open to anybody who wants to go around, do what they wanna do, because we're not here to watch it.
And a lot of people, you've heard them say that they're underpaid. We did a study. A lot of people work a second job on Friday, and that would hamper what they do. A lot of the people in that building may volunteer. There's stuff that they do on that Friday. They're putting in 40 hours. So 40 hours is 40 hours, whether we do 8:30 to 4:30,
They
5
work that
days.
second job on Monday, if they were off on Monday.
Well, they weren't hired or
Of course.
But that'd be a bit unfair to say, well, we're going to change our schedule, so now you automatically have to change all of yours, just because there's a handful of people who might prefer to call on Friday, but they don't have to only call on Friday, that's just,
And
that's
50
a shot
hours
of
for government, I mean, government, that's why you go to government's 40-hour work week.
I'm gonna slip out, because I'm not on this committee anyway. I have one little bee in my bonnet, and I've had it for 2 weeks. I wish when people refer to Chief Sebo as Chief Sebo, I know they've known him for years as Chris, they've worked closely with him, but I think even in emails, when it comes across Chris, they go, why are we so informal about something like that? And he's been very open about everybody doing their job, and he's letting them do their job. But I think he should be referred to as Chief Sebo and emailed as Chief Sebo.
And seeing to your suggestion of doing the cutoffs Monday,
Tuesday,
Tuesdays,
and
and Wednesdays, I would be okay with that too. I know we don't, well, it seems like you do have a lot of them. And so at least they've got Thursday to come in here and pay their bill or call or do whatever they've gotta do.
Right, that's why I said that, they do work Thursday. I agree with 4-day work week, my daughter's a chemist and she works 4 days a week, puts her big project on Friday and turns it off when she gets there Monday. So everybody works, and this is in Virginia, and I think a 4-day work week is cool. I think
Before you go, if you don't mind, North Charleston Sewer District, we worked closely with on our software because they had it. They were 4 days for 8 years. They went back because the commissioner requested 5 days. They went back to 5 days for less than a year, and now it's gone back to 4 days because of what happened. I'm trying to get a narrative from their CFO on that, what happened and why. Wasn't beneficial to the residents or to them.
Or to staff.
So,
Or
I
knowing
put
those
2 women
commissioners,
in
but you
here
can reach out to
because
them.
you can't leave one woman by herself.
Right, absolutely.
Because there's enough crazy people out there with exposing her just to 2 people. And I think 4-day work week, pay your bill on Wednesday. It's like my husband said, pay your bill. You know you're getting a sewer bill, I gripe about it
Right.
every month, and I pay mine's due on the 30th, and on the morning of the 30th, I go online and pay it. And I said, my husband said, why? I said, I'm never gonna pay it a day order early, I like the money in my account till then. But you know you got a sewer bill, pay your sewer bill.
Well,
And work with somebody.
the two letters of complaints just happened to be on a holiday weekend, which gave them 4 or 5 days.
If they paid their bill online, they would have been reconnected during that holiday.
Well, then we need to just get rid of that drop box, because people think, oh, somebody's picking that up.
He dropped it in after 5:30, his payment arrangement said by 5 o'clock, like the ordinance says. No matter what the excuse is, Thursday when it got cut off, we knew the hurricane was out there, but we didn't know what that hurricane was doing. We didn't know we were gonna be closed for a week. So that, yeah, that was a chance that happened, but when he dropped in that drop box, it's a check, we don't know whether the funds are good. Luckily, I walked out there and checked on Monday, because I was here for a meeting. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known it was there, and it would have been another week. I mean, he had a payment arrangement, didn't meet that payment arrangement.
And when you got that check, when did you send notice to Wastewater that he could be reconnected?
We don't have those records, but I remember talking with somebody that we were gonna reconnect that. I don't know what their plan was during the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It was all hurricane prep,
Yeah, we're all,
and so Friday was probably the earliest that they could cut it back on.
why are we trying to make exceptions for people that don't pay the bills?
I'm not saying that. It just makes us look really bad. If his letter went out to the press, it would make us look really bad.
So what's the actual call?
People that complain are the people who ain't paying no bills.
That's the problem, because this headline goes out,
Yes.
and people read that.
Grown-ups
They're
acting
not
like
looking at
kids.
the
That's what-
details of the plan.
Well, and I do wanna say, but it is very, very easy for us to say, it is unfortunate that this happened, but this is why. And it's of someone trying to make an excuse for themselves not paying their bills.
And the biggest one in there was the first sentence that said he didn't know, he told the landlord, so we, in your packet, you have his credit card, say it was with his name in 2016 or 15.
15.
That he paid 4 months of bills and then stopped. So he did know it was his responsibility. And when he came in the lobby, he sat down with me, pulled up his cell phone, I was there, I told him, this is me with Miss Woosley, this is me with the mayor, and those are my friends. He wanted special consideration because of knowing the mayors of the town.
Well, I guess that's how they do things in Russia, but
Uh-huh.
I'll tell y'all, I've only met Mr. Goffman twice. Well, anyway, what his name is, but anyway, they were both at public events at James Island Outreach. He played, a keyboard and entertained us. And, he also worked with Mr. Tecklenburg on a CD to, sell for the
Sure.
James Island Outreach.
Well, I think what a
If you
frustration,
walked in here, I probably wouldn't recognize
what a
him.
frustration David got around, I think the entire staff is, the headline catches people's eyes, and they think that PSD is doing this, and that's not the facts. And that's where he was asking, or he was, let us give the facts, then give the answer. We're not always gonna be right, but 9 times out of 10, we are correct.
Well, it's a small thing, but you know you got the bill. You have a car payment every month, you don't make it, they come to your house and pick your car up. And if you can't make it, call someone. Look, can I have another week? Can I have 10 days? I'm gonna get it to you. 10 days come and you don't pay it, you're off. How many customers do you service altogether?
About 13,000 something.
So 2 out of 13,000 have raised cane.
Sewer bills are about 7,100.
Yeah, all right, 2 out of 7,100
So it's less than a
have
percent,
raised
right?
cane, because they're, I think that ratio is amazing.
Well, after we do a cutoff, 51% of the people that are on that cutoff bill that we cut off that day, they get reconnected that day.
Same thing.
78% within a week after we put out the notices that they've been disconnected, come in and pay their bills.
I agree. And we've got to stop interjecting ourselves in their problems. And I do say, okay, have a shut-off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That way they have Thursday, that they get it cut back on. But we need to.
What they need to do is pay it on time and we wouldn't have a problem.
I agree. Well, I'm going, not
Well, they gave us, it wasn't nice, they had a lovely list.
Did he really open the door? Oh, he's like a child. I have
It's
4
just-
kids.
That even if word got out, these 2 people that were cut off before a holiday, it would just make us look bad. And you could say, well, they're habitual and they never paid it and they owe us $1,000, but that's not what people see. They go,
Well,
oh.
you can make people look bad for like anything, and that's not reason enough to say that we have to make it more
Posting on
expensive for
every
us.
utility company, there's postings on just negativity everywhere, there's nowhere.
The
you
second
can
lady
go
did get
that's
reconnected
negative.
that same Wednesday before Thanksgiving. She did get reconnected that day. Again, her statement wasn't correct.
Yeah, it didn't seem like she was. She sounded like she had gone the whole
And
week.
again, I
She
give a
did
personal
not.
story. My dad is in ICU currently. they shut off the power because mom didn't know how to pay the bills. I called them in and they didn't give me a break. They didn't say, hey, we'll give you a week, we'll give you another day. They said, your power's off, pay and we'll turn it back on. They didn't care if you was. It's a utility. It's already paid for. You've already used the expense.
Another little thing, I was at the board meeting at James Allen Outreach Monday night, and Dominion had great service that they work with charities, helping people pay their bills. And they were real thrilled with it. And then she mentioned, I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, is she talking to me? But she said, we've tried to make partial payments online with PSD and can't do that.
Our ordinance and our bonds and covenants do not allow partial payment.
No, it's on the rating, so, and as long as it's on the website, then, you know, it's just, it's fault of the consumer. And it's an unfortunate thing that happened to someone, but it's just, it's.
Right, so where he got caught, the one we're talking about is, he has $100 bill a month. Once he didn't pay, he was shut off. If he tried to go online, he would have had to pay the entire balance.
So,
Correctly stated by our ordinance.
can we change the ordinance and accept partial payments from charities? Would you rather have a little bit of that money?
Not when our AR shoots out the roof and doubles.
Why would that happen?
Because if you owe a $100 bill, I think somebody said she had a $100 bill, and she wants to pay 50, she can choose, I'll pay 40 this month, and it's just gonna stack.
Yeah, but I'm saying if a charity wanted to pay part of that bill,
Well, we haven't had a charity approach that. Again, in this case, the charity called, said, can you lower his bill? They didn't offer to pay anything, they did not pay anything. They just, can you lower it, he can afford $100 a month. And we did, that was a payment plan that was put in place. We don't allow payment plans.
And that payment plan has been violated every month.
Absolutely.
Not once
but
has the
if
president
we
missed.
wanted to pay half of somebody's bill and let them pay the other half.
You can certainly come in and do that, is that correct?
Yeah,
We'd love to.
yes,
You're
we
gonna be able
could
to-
Just can't do it online.
We're not gonna reconnect them.
As long as the full benefits.
No, I don't need to finish it now, it's just I'm tired of getting cut off.
I'm
in the
really
middle
not,
of
I'm
the
talking about something else. I'm not talking about the guy that owed us a bunch of money. I'm talking about other people. I mean, we flatly couldn't pay $2,000. We usually pay part or smaller bills.
Sure, if you, I mean, if you wanna come in and pay somebody's, not you personally, but somebody did, sure, we take the payment. They're not gonna get turned back on until the full payment's made by our ordinance.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Yeah.
sure, certainly we would take the payment.
And the thing is, we just don't we don't give money to people to pay their own bills, because you know they'll go to the liquor store or something, I don't know. But, we like to pay the organization directly.
Yes, we will, yes.
And, all right. I will get some of those people to come down and talk to you and see what y'all
Sure,
want to look
absolutely.
at, if we gotta change some ordinances. But, let's do that. Yes, Alan?
This organization has over a 50-year history of having ordinances that are appropriate and operational and functional and are doing what it's supposed to do. I very much object to us just taking out and changing the rules instead of having to live within the rules that are established. If you are driving your car and you drive through a whole bunch of yellow lights at the last second and turn red, and the cop stops you and gives you a warning ticket, you don't learn anything. If the cop stops you and gives you a ticket that costs you money and points, you're gonna learn that you follow the rules. That the DOT is not gonna change its rules to meet you. So the same thing is, if we change our ordinance, we're changing it for the exception. That is totally wrong.
Well, times do change, Alan, and I believe that if not just James on Outreach, but there's other charities who help people, and this would just be a blanket thing that if, you know, a charity comes in and wants to pay part of a bill, I'm trying to help y'all out. I want the money to come to us, right?
That's not a problem, it's not a problem to take the money. I mean, I've had Our Lady of Mercy call and wanna pledge money, and they'll mail us a check. It's not, the partial payment is your residents who go online to make payments, that doesn't take partial payments. If an organization wants to pay us money towards somebody's bill, we will absolutely take that money and we will apply it to the account that they want. They can cut, but the problem is, we won't be able to take the credit cards over the phone. They can mail us a check or bring in cash, well, they can bring it to us, but as far as this partial payment thing, maybe I'm misunderstanding. We can't take partial payments online from residents. We're not saying you can't take partial payments on an account when you've got an organization that's willing to
Well, I
help.
think that's, the other utilities take the partial payment online. And I think that was the issue, they couldn't do it with the James Obvious.
And we've never
That's
taken partial payments online since we started online payments.
When you say partial payment, if I owe $150 and I walk in, they will allow you to pay your past due bill, just that first bill, and leave the other by the end of the month, correct?
Yeah, if they
So
want
that's
to
a
come
partial
here and pay,
payment,
we'll
but
take any
online
money
will
they
not allow
want, or
that.
they want to pay.
There's
Have
no
to
way we
pay the
could.
whole bill.
Because they can put in any number if you allow that. If you owe 100, they can put in $10.
If we wanna make a partial payment on already past due and subject to be
Typically.
non-cutoff
should.
list.
Well, like I said, there are other utilities that they pay a part of that or all of it. It depends on how much they can afford. We're dependent on people giving us money.
They can make a partial way, like mailing a check or coming in, or
Well,
even
I
put it in
think
the Dropbox.
that, we're working with volunteer people, and it's more convenient to them to go online and pay with their credit, the credit card. And mailing in checks is just a little more work for them, or coming down here is more work for
They
them.
were doing disservice
They
because
were-
their balance is gonna climb. I just think our balance is gonna climb.
You know, we keep them out.
And they're gonna get a late fee, because they went, a late fee's on 5 cents. If you got 5 cents sitting on your bill, it's a $50 late fee during that 45-day window. It's the way the ordinance is written. I'm following exactly what the ordinance says. That's steep. That's steep when you got a 5-cent balance.
Yeah.
And if-
Our late fee was $5.
Just,
When did, how much is it?
10.
It's 10, that's what I thought, right?
just late fee, right?
Yeah, the late fee is
Just to
10,
talk,
we can't-
we're talking about this one group of people that don't pay their bills on time, but we have a vast majority of people that do pay their bills on time. And they feel that they may not be being treated fairly because we're making exceptions for people who aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And that's the other frustrating part. None of this would happen if people would just come in and pay the bills.
Well, when I work with outreach, 70% of our customers are elderly. They've got a fixed income. They have skyrocketing medical bills. They can't afford to eat and buy food. And sometimes people just fall in hard times or become ill or whatever and can't pay their bill. And that's the type of people, we're not talking about people that are just bums. We're talking about
How many people are we talking about?
We have 145 customers here on James Island that we help. And like I said, 70% are elderly.
But looking at the PSD side of it, there, admittedly, there's a difference between the people, if you're doing through outreach and the non-payers, the ones that have used the system. But how can the people on this side determine which is which?
That's
A
true.
non-payer is a non-payer is a non-payer. That's the way it has to
It's
be.
just black and white, right?
And I will say,
To be fair.
for me, yes, so my mother, she was the administrator at St. John's Episcopal on John's Island. And she was for about 15 years and dealt with every day at least one person coming in and asking for money to pay their bills, that their water is being turned off, that their power is being turned off, this, that, and the other. A handful of them were people who were, as you described, and I've done work, I did reporting on outreach, like all this, and it's lovely. There's so many organizations like that, and while those people who are elderly and can't pay everything, it's great that there are places like outreach that can help them, and hopefully it would build up quickly enough. They're just other people who, it's just, I don't think it's something that we can just say, well, we're gonna have to change everything and do it differently than pretty much every other organization in Charleston County does it, and a lot of other places. And, not just Charleston County, it's just, and please don't take offense to this, but we can't just continuously say, well, because of outreach, we need to do it because of that, because that also undetermines our care for the majority of residents, you know? And we can say it's important to help support things like outreach and the church that my mother worked for and that sort of, you know, who do help people in need, whether it is drug addiction or just elderlies with a lot of problems, you know, like medical and, you know, being, oh, I can't afford my Medicare and I can't afford my electricity at the same time, so I need help. And it's like, well, we can help with your electricity, we'll write a check and mail it. That takes 1 or 2 days to arrive and stamps cost nothing. And doing payment over the phone, I know bars and restaurants who will not take payments over the phone on credit cards because you don't trust people. You can easily steal the number and make payments that are not actually
So,
intended.
Joanne,
And
if
all
outreach
over.
calls you with the credit card, will you take payment with the partial?
How would we run that correctly?
The purpose of going to software was the PCI compliance is now with that firm, it's not with ours, we don't rate
You
for
can't-
We
it.
can do a one-time, I think we can do a one-time payment. There's a one-time thing where we can actually go on and do it. We don't like to because we're not, it's the security of it, but there is an option.
So
That you can do a one-time
can't take
payment.
a credit card payment over the phone.
We don't no more in the new software now, we put it through the system and it takes it for them. That way it's all on them and the customer. We're not holding any credit card. Before it was being written down, it could be later on.
If they have the account number, then we could very easily throw them into the phone system. They could put the account number in and they could pay it.
So that and the routing and, you know, the full, yeah, I get that, we get
So
different.
they can call your phone?
They can call up front and they can put them into the phone tree to pay their payment, as long as they have that account number, which we could give them that.
The big difference is a telephone call to the patient versus online calling.
I'll try to get them to try that and see how that works. Sandra or Judy to call you and talk to you about it. Maybe they just don't know how to use your system.
That's fine. We can talk to them, we can walk them through it.
Okay.
And then if you guys agree there's no ordinance change. Because, you know, like James said, that our bond holders, lenders will not allow us to do that.
Give free service and that's what we're basically doing, or payment plans. Because they're basing their bonds on the revenues we're supposed to receive.
None of the utilities, I know you.
Right.
Well, you would still have them on the cutoff list until the whole amount is paid.
Right. But it may give them another 15 days or whatever if.
I
And
see.
depending on how high the bill is, I mean, whatever the organization pledges or pays may be enough to cover their past due, which would take them off the disconnect list. It's just dependent on how much they want to pay.
I'm just trying to get money to this organization. If I can get a charity to give us money, that's good. They feel good about it, we feel good about it.
If I could give her a stock of my cars and she could let them contact me to set it up, and obviously you need to be involved, sure.
Yeah, all right. And I don't think we're talking about a bunch of money
Sure.
or either anyway, but, oh, I just wanted to, okay, we went over the phone service. This guy, we'll do in later. All right. I noticed that on DHEC reporting of wastewater leaks and spills and stuff, that, there was none reported for James Island, and I called and I asked about that, and they told me that the PSD requested that their, overflows and spills were not, made public. What's with that?
No, can't do that.
Who said
They
that?
can't do that.
The people at DHEC told me that. I asked them how come we have never,
Who at DHEC?
I'll try to come up with a name for it.
Please do, and I'll call.
Yeah,
Because that, we turn in all our reports to DHEC.
they said you did. They said you did, but I said, I see they had a list of, you know, Mount Pleasant had a leak and this person had a leak and all that. And I said, how come we never get leaks at James Island? Are we that good? And they said, no, that you all requested that it not be made public. That's what they told me.
I need the name of the person you talked to.
Okay.
Because this person has never called and talked to them
Okay.
without not being on the list. We fill out our sheets.
Absolutely.
Send them to Mrs. White at DHEC every time we have a leak.
Well,
If it's a reportable leak.
okay. Well, I don't know, that's what they told me, that you all requested that it not be made public.
Well, it wasn't this person.
Okay.
Perhaps it's
When
small.
did the DHEC ever start following through on what the people that are reporting to them say?
They have a list and they publish it. It's our, and I just wondered why we never had it. I went back and looked through it and wondered why, and I called and asked, and said that Jane got through this request, that we don't make that information public.
And they actually said, yeah, we'll agree to that? I've never heard of them agreeing.
Well, they
to
just
that
told
kind
me
of thing.
that's what PSD said, and I didn't tell them where I was. I just called and asked, and they said, James on PSD does not allow us to make their overages or whatever public. So,
Well, name and number, I'll take care of it.
okay, all right. And you've given us a report about hurricane damage. Is there anything you want to add to what you've written?
Mostly just fences, trees falling on fences,
Apparently,
and some gates.
fences are much cheaper than pumps, aren't they?
Yes.
Typically, our insurance will cover those and pay for those, is what's happened in the past. And FEMA, we don't even turn them into FEMA, because our insurance is already taken care of it.
Oh, okay.
So that's typically what will happen.
Okay.
And these, I don't know if you told me that, but what David gave us, it tells us up to $6,400. That's like a regular household thing.
And we try to keep all our trees trimmed, all our limbs trimmed around our stations. But every once in a while, one will topple anyway.
All right. Anything else anybody want to bring up? I don't think we need to have any motions to send forward. I think we hashed out some stuff here.
You've made two suggestions to the employees here. One about seeing about $100 deposit, a program that would fit with that, $50 to $100 anyway. And the other one is seeing about collection agencies now. Are they gonna do
I think,
a search like getting bids, or are they gonna do a search where they just call 3 or 4 of them, or this is gonna have to be.
I would go by our procurement policy.
Yeah,
That's
just
all,
go
it has
back.
to be a
Right.
contract.
just go
So it
and
has to
look
be-
into it and bring it back to, I would say, just bring it back to the full commission that we recommend we do this
Okay.
because we're out of this amount of money, and then we'll vote on it. And
And
we
we'll know the-
recommend
right.
a
We'll know the
deposit.
fees, whether we got to do bids, quotes, right?
And same thing with David was spelling out the 45 days. Can you make that adjustment in
Kinda-
your,
I just wanna see that,
SOG?
Maureen.
Well, couldn't
I
it,
know it's on the bill, put in the in your cutoff SOG, would you mind spelling that
Sure,
out?
we'll work with David.
Yeah,
too, if you want.
sure.
And, put it on the Facebook page, just let people know what the policy is, so people will,
well, the problem is the date is fluid. If the end of the billing time is the 30th, it's one thing.
well, you just say it's the end of the billing day, you don't have to give an
That's
actual
the date
date.
that's on their bill, but it's on their bill, it's due by. So,
You're due by
I
date.
know.
I think it's already written up, if I'm right, we already had that process written up, I'm pretty sure. But we'll get it over to David.
Yeah.
We'll get it over to David to look at.
Get that out there. Was there anything that seems like everything's covered?
Everything's good? And we have a lot of good things in place. Again, you know, James, with the service that starts January 1st, we'll get that information out to everybody, and they'll have multiple places all over the island that they can go pay any time of day or night. Only
There's
thing-
no signing up or anything they have to do, it'll be on there, they can just do it, we'll just have to advertise that.
The only catch, if you will, is that paying cash.
Right.
And Mr. Hoffman, would you reach out to Charleston Water about, cutting, if we ever run into another duplex situation or something like that, about
Well, they cut their water off.
cut their
Yeah,
water?
if you want me to check with them about us having them cut the water off, absolutely.
Yeah, like if we got another situation like that.
I want them to do all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reach out to them again
Sure.
and, see what we can come up with them.
Sure.
And let us know how that goes. And I think that's about it.
I don't mind to reiterate what David said, I'd invite y'all to come over to finance and then spend a day, spend 2 days. The customer service ladies do a lot more than answer the phone and take payments, and to see that, Alan's seen it, And it would just open your eyes, and I'd be willing to do that anytime.
And
The office is
they
always open.
definitely have my permission, if they have your permission. Right now, the ROP says they have to go through you, to go through me, to go back to them. I hope, you know, I'm gonna ask that we change that. I think that at least the department heads ought to be able to discuss with commissioners, and especially their, committee chairs. Because it's important for everybody to know what's going on. And then at the meeting at the end of the month, when we talk, I'm gonna bring some other things up that I think will help. We wanna build our relationship back with the commission. And all the department heads, we've talked, and we feel like, you know, over the years, that information has not been given out, that information has been given at the last minute, and we don't wanna do that. We wanna provide it as soon as possible.
Well, I think one of the things that will help tremendously is we stay before they work with, because every time I come in here, the employees are hitting me with that. Excuse me, the associates are hitting me with that.
We call employees.
Hallelujah.
All right, well, this meeting is adjourned, and if there's nothing else, you can talk to us after we're done.